when you see the big sports have a strike, a union walks or the owners lock them out or whatever, you know what? Eventually there's a deadline. They make it happen. There's been a couple of years affected by that. And then it doesn't happen again for 10 or 12 or 15 years. College football, it's every month. And that doesn't even include the college football playoff, and a note about that in a moment. So here's Chris Klieman. He mentioned some things when we had him on about walk-ons, such an important factor. He's worried about them. Here's Chris Klieman yesterday, K-State football coach.
Off the field, I still think the industry of college athletics is a disaster. It just is. Between the lines, I think it's great. During this month of April, not our decision as coaches, not our decision at Kansas State, but the industry-wide decision because of the House settlement, because of different legality things and litigation. We got to remove a lot of kids from the program, and it sucks. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of kids that want to be here, want to stay here, that we can't have in the program, and kids that are paying their way, kids that have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this place, kids that are invested academically, and now those kids got to make a choice. And it's frustrating to me because I don't understand why the number came of 105. Why didn't we kind of slowly bring it down? And I don't even know who decided it, but as a lot of us coaches talk about it, we're not in those meetings. We're not in the rooms. The practitioners, the guys that have their boots on the ground every day, aren't in the meetings that decide some of these things. I'm sure it happens in other sports as well, but in football in particular. But make no mistake, I'm not in favor of this at all. We got a lot of kids that want to be in the program that are not going to be able to be in the program. Then we have the transfer portal also happening in the month of April. And there's some positive to that with kids that maybe are not going to make your 105 that have the opportunity to go on and play somewhere. I think that's great. The negative, which you guys all know and can assume, is our best players are getting contacted every day right now. And it may be not them in particular, but it's going to be their agent saying, hey, we're looking for this position. We lost somebody in spring ball. We're looking for that position. We lost somebody in spring ball. Or we have some excess money we've got to dump. Let's go get this kid. And so this month of April is going to be craziness. And I want to make sure that we get our football stuff done, but also realize what happens if you lose a kid in spring ball. Well, now you got to make a decision on that kid. Because if he's not going to be a part of your 105, is there an injured reserve? Have you guys found that out? I don't know. Is there a practice squad? I don't know. I don't think any of those things have been talked about, or if they have, we don't know about them as coaches, but we're not in any of those meetings. And so a lot of us are in the industry are really frustrated because a lot of these decisions are made without our input.
I don't know how they came about that number, the 105, and you just heard at the end, we're not in those meetings. And that is what, Craig, you just mentioned, and Paul, we mentioned, and how we've discussed it. The ones who are the ones that deal with it, the boots on the ground, as Chris Klieman said, they're the ones that are not even in the meetings.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to his point as well, like he covered a lot of ground there. And so my all-encompassing, hey, if you made them employees, that fixes a lot of it. It doesn't fix everything. It doesn't fix the transfer portal window or maybe things like that. So there's not one magic hand you can wave and everything is all of a sudden great. But, I mean, I see very easily why you could assume that Nick Saban retired early. I can. See why people were speculating about Chris Klieman last year. I can see why some guys might want to make the move. He's right, though. The on-the-field product, that's why the ratings were great, not because of all the crap surrounding it. It's because of the fact you had some really good teams And I think just the portal has made things more interesting. It's just the way that it's used, the timing of it, the dates of it, and all of that. The constant tampering that he's referring to there, like I don't know how they shut that down, but that is a massive problem as well. And so that wouldn't be solved by, necessarily just the magic wave of the hand of coming to an agreement on employee status. Like it wouldn't fix every little thing, obviously, but I do think it would go a long way. And I know that there's also concerns about that, like what would happen to all the rest of the sports. And so I don't think schools are totally doing that because it's not like I don't think that they're refusing to go all the way with employee status purely out of selfishness. I think that's 98% of it. I do think there is the 2% of it that's like, oh, crap, what would happen to everything else and how would softball be affected and things like that. But, it just sucks to have these off-season conversations every off-season now. He's right. The on-the-field product's awesome. Yeah. The college football season kicked ass. The expanded playoff, for as much being and moaning by a lot of blue checks as there were for the first round of the playoffs, I think everybody's opinion had shifted by the next couple of rounds. And we're like, oh, wow. Like, once we got past that first weekend, like, this was pretty cool. And so there's a lot to love about the on the field, as he said. But, yeah, the off the field is an absolute disaster. And so for as much as it does fuel this show at times, it's as equally tiring to talk about the same damn issue over and over again every offseason. And much less deal with it like he is. Like, he's actually – like, I'm just sitting here complaining about it.
He doesn't even know if you can, like, put a guy into the injured reserve or whatever.
He doesn't know – he doesn't even know the rules of the sport that he has coached for, decades now. And I'm sitting here – I'm not really, like, probably as emotional about this as I'm coming across. I'm just frustrated because I'm tired of talking about the same thing. So I can only imagine how he – being directly influenced by it, just got off the practice field and his star quarterback's getting a phone call from so-and-so or DM'd by who and who over at Texas, whatever university. I can only imagine their level of frustration's off the charts, which is why we see them blowing like geysers, every few weeks when they get an opportunity in front of the media to finally get some of this off their chest.
All right.
And to his point of they don't have the experts in the room, this is a common thing with big business where the money people will make the decision. Now they'll commission a report, right? That's what all these people, they commission a report and the experts do a report and they go, here, do this. And then they go through the report and they find the part where they don't like it. And they're like, we're not going to do that. Or we're going to do it this way because we're going to make it fit in. And then the people who are the experts on it are like, well, that's not what I said at all. Like, that's not what I said at all, because, again, when money is the only thing driving the ship and not common sense, then you have the money people that are like, well, no, we're not going to listen to the people who know exactly what they're talking about. We're going to do it our way, and then we'll make it seem like we listen to them.
All right, so thank you, guys. Appreciate both of you and the passion, and even Eric said animation. You're animated, and that's great. Transparency. I don't know how you could be. Paxton brought that up. Transparency. I think there's transparency, but nobody knows really what they're looking at, because think about it. The football coach at K-State doesn't know if he can hide players, not hide them, but put them in an injured reserve or on a practice squad to offset the 105 if 7 guys get hurt during spring. What happens to them? They disappear? So that's the coach saying it. Then you have Kirby Smart, who's at Georgia. Powerful. Part of the SEC. One of the top 5 programs in the country pretty much year in and year out. And here's Kirby Smart on today's college football.
I think everybody's got to take a big pause right now and say deep breath, because of what's going on with basketball right now is crazy. And we don't know everything that's going to come out with April 7th, which might be April 7th. We might be the settlement date where we get a lot more information. But, everybody's on pins and needles because we don't know exactly what's going to come out of this. What I do know is that we're going to continue to recruit people who love football, who are passionate about football, and that don't put money as the number one answer. Like, I've never met a really good player that's all they cared about. So, like, the 105 number, the NIL number, what's the cap number, what is this going to be? There's stuff going on right now, guys, in college football. I mean, there's people reaching out to have a Zoom call and present all the players they represent that are own teams, including our teams. And they want to invite people to the Zoom so they can watch and see who's going in the portal or shopping who's in the portal before the portal. Do you want to get on the Zoom and look at all these players? I'm like, well, what if some of them are mine? I mean, it could be one of the most legendary, moments in all of college sports with what's coming up on this ruling and how people are going to try to manipulate a cap when all we're trying to do is make for competitive balance. And it's really unfortunate that I don't know if competitive balance is going to come out of it. I don't know if the kids win in this model that we currently have, if they win long term. Like long term, when we have to cut sports and cut other things, are the kids going to be the winners of this? I don't know. College sports been around a long time and given many an opportunity. And by all means, I want these kids to make money. But what's going on right now is not good for anybody.
All right, so you've heard from Chris Klieman and Kirby Smart.
I don't totally agree with him at all.
I think you and I are going to be of like mind on this.
Yeah, I don't totally agree with him at all. I think the Georgia wide receiver making $500,000 is well better off than he was otherwise, and I don't think he gives a damn about whether the swimmer has a scholarship or not. There are people that are benefiting from it. It's just, not everybody's going to be happy about the entire situation. You can't make everybody happy about the way they're getting fed these days, but there are a lot of people that are getting fed better than they've ever been fed before. They're having lobster and steak where they were having ramen noodles. Now, unfortunately, the tennis team's eating ramen noodles, but that's not the quarterback's fault. It's not Carson Beck's fault with his dual vehicles and his Miami beach house or whatever he's got going on these days. There's a lot of people that are eating just fine, and a lot of people on his football team that are doing much better for themselves.
He's making $10, $13 million a year
his
himself.
jobs, and I'm not, this isn't not anti-Kirby, but he's under no threat. The only thing that would cost him his job is if he lost games or did something so scandalous. Obviously he's had troubles in his program, but nothing to the extent that has gotten him booted. So it would have to be super scandalous. So he's fine. So he's lamenting like his dog just died, when in reality, he's like the most untouchable dude on that campus when it comes to sports. So I think there's a little bit of a putting on there because he doesn't like the way things are going because it's not the way he would like to see them. But the whole, I don't know about the long-term future. The tight end who's now made $250,000 that he otherwise wouldn't have made is better set long-term than he was before when he was making the same as the volleyball player. Mm-hmm. So I don't totally agree with him at all on that. And I do think there's a little bit of a putting on of the woe is us when it's like, dude, you make $12 million a year. So I don't feel that bad for you, honestly. I do feel bad, though, for the golf team and for those people. But, we just got to come to grips with it's not going to be the way that it was. It's not going to be kumbaya. And that's unfortunate. But yeah, just hearing it from Kirby Smart is just a little bit different to take than hearing it from a Chris Klieman even.
And he's having his cake and eating it too there a little bit in that, okay, you as the highest paid state employee, Kirby, could take less to make sure that the tennis and golf and swimming teams have some money if you wanted. But he shouldn't have to. Again, not his fault. He is there, but them keeping him there and keeping him paid to the level of his equal competitors, that's the mart of competitive commerce.
He doesn't owe the swimming or tennis team.
He doesn't owe them anything, but for him to lament why they're going, well, he's also part of that problem.
Exactly.
He's part of it. He's not going to give back.
He's not, the system is.
When his contract went above $10 million, I don't think he was sitting there going, I don't know if we should do this because this is $2 million that could go to golf.
Yeah, he's not worried about, he's worried about it in theory, but not to where he's going to make some dumb move, which would be dumb. To be like, look, I can live fine on $4 million. You take this other $8 million back and give it around the athletic department. That would be dumb. I'm not advocating for him to do that, but also his money factors into the entire budget as well. His coaching staff and all those things that they do. His recruiting budget, which is higher than everybody else by 1.5. That all factors into it. And so, he can say all of this. He can worry that his players are getting poached, but Can he honestly look at me in the eye and look at us in the eye and say that he and his coaching staff haven't poached somebody as well?
Oh, I'm sure
No.
he could do that and convince
but
you,
like,
even though you know
but
he's lying.
I mean, like, would he be telling the truth? No, absolutely not.
What would he say if Georgia decided that the $20.5 million that they're going to have for revenue sharing, that the football only gets $8 to $10 million of it, when all the other football programs are getting 17 to 18 million?
Well, he would lose his mind, and
Yeah.
it'd also be valid because they actually make money.
Yeah.
And so
No,
that's the whole
that's right.
thing. We're sitting here, bemoaning, and I get the Olympic and all that. Like, I'm not trying to dismiss that, but you also want to be realistic. Those sports lose money. So he'd be in his right to lose his mind over it, considering that he basically funds those sports. His team funds a lot of those sports. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he's not going to take – it would be suicidal to take that money away from them to go put it on the sports that are just going to lose that money, whereas you pump the $8 million into him, he can turn that into 20. And then the 20 goes and feeds everybody else's, mouse. Whereas if you take that away from him, then he's not bringing in 20, he's bringing in 8. And all y'all now have to live off 8. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, he's the most important figure, and yeah, he'd be right to bark back at that. But yeah, it's kind of talking out of both sides, and again, there's no perfect, like, there's no, even with if the government were to come in and intervene, there's no, like, all of a sudden that's going to make softball profitable.
No,
and they're going to make a ton of money. And
short of all that, to your point, Smokey, that the system and the universities and all that, like, that's the bigger problem. There is an idea among state-run institutions in particular that the college system was set up to profit anybody. It's not, right? Like, it was not like when the state college system in America was set up, no one thought of it like, hey, we're going to make a crap load of money. This is going to be a good thing. And then, people started trying to figure, like, how can we make money? Now, look, I don't say, like, go to colleges and set all your money on fire, but also, like, you've been a losing this has not been a profitable operation since its inception. It was never intended to be.
Dude, the curtain just got pulled back and all the ugliness got showed, and now everybody's realizing how much it was propped up on toothpicks. I mean, we all knew that.
You guys were never, it was never supposed to be, it was never supposed to be like Ford Motor Company. People come, they pay their tuition, you pay the teachers, you pay the people who run the university, you call it a day. There's no CEO of the university. The board of regents at any university isn't like the board of directors at Tesla, where, like, if the stock goes down, they lose money. Like, they're not like, they're not on the hook for any of this stuff.
They lose bonus money.
They're not, but they're not like, nobody, okay, so for the board of the nobody's getting a bonus on the board of regents at A&M if they won a national title in football. They just get to slap each other in the back and go, "We did it, Haas." That's all. So the fact that they're trying to run this like a business, when it's like the educational side and all the sports that don't make money, when they're not a business, is the problem in the first place.
Let me read this from the serial killer. Totally disagree. $250,000 is not life-altering money. Education is what will elevate poor kids to get a lifetime job that pays well. Kid will blow that $250 pretty quickly.
Okay.
I mean, you say that like every single kid's going to spend it their same way. What if somebody's actually really smart with their money and invested? I understand the point you're making, but I don't think you can just do the wide brush like that.
Also, serial killer, maybe you want to look at the debt-to-income ratio of people who've taken out college loans and how hard it's been in post-1998 America to really get a job that's commensurate with the money you spent on education, and how people who are like doctors and lawyers and have really good jobs that 20 years into their career are still paying off the loans because of the scam system that we set up. But I get it. Like, in the 1960s, when it was planned out this way, that's how it was supposed to work. But it's 2025 and shit's changed.